Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's new third Friday Travel Writers panel discussion. This is with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Actually, it's not that new because this is the third one. So actually, we're getting along with these panel discussions. It's been fun. The first one was about garden getaways around the world and across the country. The second one was on world travel. And today it's all about Ireland, which is super exciting because today's show lands on St. Paddy's Day. So I encourage you to go to IFWTWA.org to learn more about the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association, which you'll hear is kind of referred to as IFWTWA on the show because it's easier to say. We have three sets of travel writers. I say three sets because we have a husband and wife team, and we have two ladies joining us. They're going to talk about their writing careers, their adventures in Ireland. MaryRose will be talking about setting up your trip to Ireland. So we're going to talk photography, getting active and wild in Ireland. Of course, food and wine's got to come in, and maybe, we got to talk about some whiskey. Who knows? We'll be talking about it all today. So let's get started with Jen and Ed Coleman. They are known as Coleman Concierge, and you can go to their website, colemanconcierge.com. They are based out of Huntsville, Alabama. Beautiful area of the country. So welcome to the show, Jen and Ed. How are you?
Real good. How are you?
Doing good. How's it going, Ed?
It's fantastic.
Oh, well, that's good. I heard you were emailing me while Jen was off cruising Baja. What was going on there, Jen? Was it Baja or Mexico? Where were you?
Baja. I was actually on an uncruise. Not sure if you've heard of them.
Yeah.
But amazing. Oh my gosh. So much fun. We got to pet gray whales in their birthing lagoon, and we got to go snorkeling with sea lions and just hike and learn about the beautiful Baja desert. It was an amazing trip.
Wow, that is cool. Now in Ireland, I know we'll talk about that, but Ed, do you want to give everybody an overview why you're called Coleman Concierge? That's a different name for travel writing than I've heard. So give us a little background of your stories, because it seems like you kind of want to nudge people out of their comfort zones for travel.
So Coleman Concierge came from us being the Colemans, and Jen was the concierge at Hilton Torrey Pine. And we just thought it flowed very well together. And now everybody thinks we plan trips.
Okay.
But we're out for adult professional travelers who want to travel, adventure, and experience first, and then fill in with unique places to stay and delicious food to eat.
And get a little wild, because I've seen like you did Ireland a little differently than I've seen. You've been swinging on rope things and kayaking and cliff walking and hope you don't fall in things. And then you do get to have Jameson's at the end, right?
Well, it's home to the world's only full-time professional sea stack climber. So it's something uniquely Irish to do.
See, I never thought of that at all. That's amazing. I want to bring Kathleen Messmer back on the show. She was on our show, was it a couple years ago, Kathleen?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, around there. She was on the show. She is an amazing photographer, and I invite you to go to her website, indiespirit.live. I still love that name, Indie Spirit. It just is like, woo. And that kind of feels that way for Ireland, too. So last time we were talking with you, you were in Albuquerque area, and now you're in Temecula playing in the wine country with horses, right? And wine.
Yes, I am.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah, I came out actually because my boys didn't like me living so far away. So I have one in San Diego and the other one's in San Jose. So
perfect
kind of
balance.
in between. Close, but not too close.
Where was your last trip that you took?
Last trip was Mendocino, and I had been there previously on the coast, but this time was inland, and I went to Taste Mendocino.
Okay.
And that was interesting because I didn't even know they made wine in Mendocino. I mean, who knew? So that was really fun. We met with the wine association and got to taste wines, great food. It was in this beautiful open area. with vineyards all around, and God, it was just beautiful. So I loved it.
Nice. Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back on the show. Also, MaryRose Denton is here. MaryRose is in Anacortes up in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. If you have not been to Anacortes, you must go. You must also go. You've got to go to Temecula too, by the way. That, I mean, wine, you know. But MaryRose has written in numerous publications, and you can go to her website, MaryRose Denton Writer. And MaryRose, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing pretty well.
That's good to have you here, because I also want to ask you about, and I wish when we were at Anacortes that we could have met you in person. That would have been cool.
Next time.
And we've been through Huntsville in our travels, and we've obviously Temecula and Albuquerque, and one day we'll meet you all in person versus being on Zoom. But MaryRose, you talk about Meraki. Am I pronouncing this correctly? Meraki?
I've heard Maracay. I've also heard Meraki, so I'm not sure exactly which way it is. But it's the idea of putting love into everything that you do, or something of yourself into everything you do. And certainly writing is that outlet for me.
Where was your last destination that you covered?
We just got back from a press trip to Bend, Oregon, actually.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah. Beautiful breweries. Did you get to go out to the volcanoes?
No, we did more of a culture and art press trip as we were highlighting. So we did the Warm Springs Indian Museum, as well as the High Desert Museum. We did lots of great restaurants and food trucks. We went to a part of the writing I do is on vegan and travel and wellness. So there's a great restaurant called the Terra Kitchen, which does a plant-forward menu, and it was fabulous.
Oh, that's awesome. We've really come a long way on vegetarian cuisine, especially for vegans, where I remember going in and going, here's your baked potato. And,
those are the days.
Yeah, the iceberg salad, here it is, but we've come a long way. But it's interesting when you talk about Meraki, however you want to say it. Kathleen, I want to go back to you about the name of your site and this indie spirit. Tell us a little bit about that and why your name is that, Indie Spirit, and not just Indie Spirit, it's live. Or is it live?
Well, yeah.
Live or
well,
live.
I think I mentioned before, I grew up in a military family, and my mom was a drill instructor and my dad was a master sergeant. So our household was anything but indie anything. And so, it was kind of, you graduate high school, you get married, you have babies, and that's your life. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. So, sorry. And then, so my mother told me, men don't like independent women, Katie. And I said, oh, well, and so as life went on, I ended up getting married and having children, but it was on my terms. And so my terms is how I live my life. I try to do what I want, and making my way in the world without damaging myself or other people or the planet or anything like that. So Indie Spirit, that's kind of what it's all about. That's what I'm about. So.
Well, you all seem to have consciousness about how you do your traveling. And do you want to go back to that, Jen and Ed, about what you do with your traveling? Because going on your website, everything was about travel responsibly. So it seems that you really focus on that as well.
Absolutely. It's actually a cornerstone for us, both personally and professionally, to, really make sure that when we are traveling, that we are doing so responsibly, that we're being mindful with the choices that we make. And, every time that we're able to actually highlight, whether it's a sustainable accommodation, maybe something with LEED certification, or, a farm to table type situation, that's something that really resonates with us, and we really like to highlight those things. I think the more that we can, travel better and show people how to travel better, the more that people will start to be more conscious and more mindful in the choices that they're making as well.
I love that. Right now, MaryRose, we're going to talk about Kathleen, Ed, and Jen's time in Ireland, but you're planning your trip to Ireland. So, MaryRose, I know you wanted to focus on that, teaching people some tips about planning. So, when you're planning your trip, does traveling responsibly come into the preparation?
Absolutely. I concur that that's sort of the ethos that drives me, as well as the sustainability. That was a big piece of what my partner and I looked at of what we chose to do on any trip that we've taken.
So planning for Ireland, what have you looked at for plan? Where are you going? Let's are you doing like, apparently there's road trips, as Ed and Jen say, there's, you can go climbing on cliffs and sea stacks, or what was your plans for Ireland so far?
Well, we are doing it as a road trip. So we are renting a car, which is one aspect of something to think about when you are making an itinerary is, not only what do you want to see, but how do you want to see it? And so that's a pretty big, broad question. But part of that is, are you going to rent a car? Are you going to do it by train? I would say if I was doing this as a solo trip, I would probably be doing it very differently, because I don't know that I would rent a car by myself. But between the two of us, we are going to rent a car, and
drive on the other side of the road.
That's right. It's a little bit intimidating, but we're using a company called My Irish Cousin. His name is Malachi Quinn, and he is hugely into responsibility and sustainability. In fact, which is one of the reasons we chose him. And his company just aligned themselves with, excuse me, with another company called Cloud Forests in Ireland that is actually replanting trees to help offset some of the carbon footprint. So Malachi's company, My Irish Cousin, just bought, I think it was 1,000 trees through Cloud Forest to offset some of the driving road trips that people are taking through his
That
company.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, it's like
I was so proud to know him for doing that.
Yeah, I think, that's something we're seeing in businesses now. It's like, okay, we've got to balance out. We've got to do, you can't just be a business and make money. You've got to give back in some way, and I love seeing that about the environment too, because we should look at that being responsible in transportation for sure. That's a huge part of it. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Ed and Jen, you did road tripping. You've got a great article on your website talking about, how long were you in Ireland for?
I think it was about 10 days in total.
Okay, you did a lot. I mean,
it was about a 700-mile road trip over 10 days, and every day was action-packed.
Wow. And how did you enjoy being on the other side of the road?
Well, it was part of a tour, so we were on a bus, and it was seamless for us.
Seamless for you, but you know what? I'm sorry, but even being on the other side of the road when you're crossing a street can get you nailed. If you know what I mean, just being off balance in that way. But I grew up on the other side of the road, so I still once in a while, this is why I don't drink and drive, and nobody should. Is like if I want to, I can revert back into being on the other side of the road very quickly, and it's very easy to do. So, and I do not drink and drive anyway, but you know what I mean? It's like you really have to be aware, but I think it also gives you the giggles when you do something wrong, because to this day, no matter what, put myself on the wrong side of the road going up one-way streets. It happens about every 4 to 6 months. And then you really could have some choice language, and you could really freak out, or you could be like me and start giggling about it, and as people honk at you and yell at you and carry on, so it happens. But that's cool that you went on a bus trip doing that. So was that through a main company that took you and did this, or is it an on and off thing?
It was actually part of a press trip put together
Cool.
by another professional agency that we belong to, that was really wanting to highlight kind of the, working with Tourism Ireland, and really wanting to highlight kind of some of the lesser known parts of Ireland, and from an outdoor adventure and outdoor perspective.
That to me was really cool about both your articles and seeing the pictures, and that you did that, because I rarely hear about people going and doing the nature and the outdoor adventure side of Ireland. You always hear about people going to Guinness, go there, kiss the Blarney Stone, and of course, one must experience these things, but there seems to be so much more with Ireland too, and even going over into Northern Ireland. But Kathleen, tell us a little bit about your adventures in Ireland. Did you drive? That's
Good
the big
God,
question of the day.
No chance ever.
Oh,
Driving
right.
on the other side of the road, no, never happening. So no.
Oh, wow. All right.
I tried it, before, and no, it was bad. So, and that was in London, which was very bad. So anyway.
Did you go round and round Piccadilly Square?
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about it. It was too embarrassing.
Well, listen, I went round and round in circles in Tijuana, and there's the Revolution Square there. And it's like, and I ended up there lost. I just got to this country. I'm used to the other side of the road, and didn't know a lick of Spanish, didn't know where I was, couldn't tell him where I was going, and ended up going in circles and circles and circles in rush hour traffic. I understand.
Yeah,
It's
been
fun.
there.
It's fun. It's fun. It's part of it.
Okay.
But yeah, tell us
I'll
about
take
your
word for
adventure.
that. Well, I went twice in 2019. The first time I just went on my own. My mother's Irish, and so I kind of went in search of my heritage, more or less. And so I first went to the East Coast, and I did Dublin and Belfast, and I was on my own, and it was wonderful. I mean, I didn't really have a plan. I just knew that I wanted to visit the Trinity College, because I'm a huge bibliophile, and I wanted to see the long room, which of course everybody does, but it was just a thing that I had to do. And so did Dublin for a week, and then went up to Belfast. I took a bus tour from Dublin to Belfast, and on the way we stopped at, of course, all the Game of Thrones places and Dark Hedges and all that. I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I had no idea, but I have since. But anyway, so it was cool. Photographically, it was very cool. Dunluce Castle was just spectacular. And the what's the other one? The bridge. Oh God, it's a suspension bridge. Carrick or Reed suspension bridge that goes from the mainland across this span of water to this tiny little island. And I got up to the ticket taker, and I had to turn around and go back because I was going to miss my bus if I went across and then came back. So I didn't get to do the bridge, darn, but being suspended, hundreds of feet above the water on the craggy coast, it was not my idea of fun, but I saw it. So that's important.
Well, it's good. It's easier to photograph bridges when you're off the bridge.
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
my style. I know,
Yeah.
because MaryRose has some crazy bridges by her. Like, that was it, the Cape Disappointment Bridge, or is that the one? Or is that Desperation Point?
I think you're thinking Deception Pass.
That's it, Deception Pass. Oh my gosh, you can keep your pass. Those big bridges freak me out. So Jen and Ed, did you go to that bridge? Did you see the bridge at all that she's talking about?
We did not. No, we went north in Ireland and stopped in County Down, just about a county below Belfast, and then we crossed across country over to the Irish coast. So we didn't go to Belfast. We didn't go north of any north of Belfast.
So
Yeah.
MaryRose, talking about like her plans, how she got there, anything that you're gasping, going, "Ooh, maybe I want to do this," between all of them talking already? Are you getting extra ideas, or is it too late? Are you solidified in your plans? What happens with that? I mean, because we can't be too rigid, right?
No, absolutely not. In fact, that's one of the biggest things I've learned in setting up itineraries is I learned the hard way of packing too much into a trip to France a few years ago. Makes it a lot less enjoyable. So always, my best advice is to always try to have some open spaces in your itinerary. I liked so we are going to be ending our, we're there for 3 weeks this spring. We're taking a 3-week vacation. And we're ending that 3 weeks in Howth. And I know that Ed and Jen had been in Howth. And so I liked what they had to say about the cliff walking. So I think we're going to try that tour of the cliff walking. One of the things that we're doing that has to do with what you're talking about with nature and sustainability, we sail a lot, being here in the Pacific Northwest, right near the San Juan Islands. We do a lot of sailing, and we have a sailboat. So we're actually, I have arranged for us to do a sail on a traditional Galway hooker out of Galway Bay, which is a traditional fishing boat. They're the little red sailboats that you see wandering around Galway Harbor, Galway Bay. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing that's part of sustainability and nature. We're doing a lot of other cultural things, like doing an Irish soda bread baking class, and we're attending a 3-day traditional music festival down in Kinvara, things like that.
Cool. So yeah, going into the traditions, and of course going on the water. So Jen and Ed, you did some water, but it was a lot of it was looking over it, but then you got in it. What did you tell everybody about getting in there? Because I don't know, when I look at, I lived in England and did Scotland and Wales, never got to Ireland or the Isle of Man, where our family's from. A bunch of witches burned at the stake, apparently. I don't know, talking, because I loved what you just said, in search of your heritage. I that is such a key phrase. I love that. You guys got in the water, and I'm sorry, that looked cold. Like, but then there's wetsuits for that, right? There's things to keep you warm, or no?
Well, they say there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear.
Right. So, perfect answer. True.
But we got in the water on 3 different occasions. Jen got to kayak through Strongford Loch, which is a really unique body of water. It's where St. Patrick came to Ireland twice, through the Strongford Loch, once as a slave and once as a free man to revolutionize the Irish religion. And it's also a very big bay with a lot of currents at the end. And that's why it's called Strongford, or strong water. And there's a giant hydroelectric wheel that generates electricity at the front of the loch from very strong tidal surges. So that's where Jen was kayaking. And then I did a coast-steering course around Northern Ireland. I could actually see the Isle of Man from where I was coast-steering. And then I also went surfing in Ireland, and Ireland has...
That's what I was like, dude, no way. When I was going through that, I was like, you went surfing. I never thought of Ireland, and surfing, but dude, I'm cold.
Dude.
I know.
Ireland's known as cold water Hawaii, and there's just really great breaks all the way up and down the coast. It was really good for beginners to get up and get on the board. I probably caught about 40, 50 really small waves, but our surf pro was amazing. He showed us pictures of riding a 50-foot monster wave off the coast of Ireland. And wow. It was the sort of thing that makes your jaw drop. It's like, wow, that is Ireland, surfing's Ireland. And it is. There's this little surf town in the corner of Ireland.
But there's apparently quite a surfing culture in Ireland, believe it or not.
I did not know. Huh. I did not know. I feel really like stupid. You know what I mean? I didn't want to use that word, but I'm so glad you're on the show to let people know, and you wrote about it too, because I think you guys really showed something different of Ireland than what our mind automatically always goes to. You know what I mean? I think it's awesome. Is there a lot of walking paths from, like, I know Wales has a coastal walking path. It seemed like you guys did some hiking and walking when you were out there.
I believe it's the law of the land that the immediate coast, including cliff access, is public domain. So there's coastal paths everywhere you go in Ireland. And there's some very unique inland trails too. We did a walking tour of the Burn. That's a karst landscape and very unique in how it's, it has both alpine plants and bog plants in the same fields, and it's very, it's where the fairies are still around in culture, and it's very much a Gaelic area. So the different ways that you can walk and explore Ireland are phenomenal.
See, I love this about the fairies. Ireland and Scotland, like in certain like Glastonbury and stuff, there are certain areas with the fairy culture that I like that's a rabbit hole, a fairy rabbit hole, because I think they are there because I'm weird, but there's a mystical quality to that. And I remember we lived in South Africa, we went to an artist's house, Ruby, I want to say Reeves, but it's not, but she painted miniature fairies, like in a square inch. You would be able to see like 10 fairies and flowers in a square inch, all part of a giant painting kind of thing, which was insane. And that gets to me about perspective, goes to Kathleen with photography, going out there. I know all of you are writers and photographers, but you really, your art, you manage to know where to zone in. I look at your photos every single day on Facebook, Kathleen.
Oh, thank
Today
you.
it was an amaryllis, but yeah, I'm looking forward to what you do for March 17th. It's got to be green, right, or something from Ireland. But your photos, you managed to really capture an atmosphere. There's photos that we document, here's where we are and everything, but you create this atmosphere of like, if you're looking at something historical, there's a photo of, oh yeah, you're in a museum. But then you somehow with your photography, and I don't know how you do it, you're a photographer though, bring in the atmosphere of like, you can almost feel like you have this one photo of old bottles, and I feel like, I can feel like someone picking up the bottles, but like it's from another era.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been a photographer since 1978. So, but we're not going to talk about age right now. So it's just an eye. You develop an eye after a while, and I've had a camera in my hand since I was 8 years old. So, it's just when you go somewhere, to me, it's like a feeling. When I was in Ireland and I didn't go to any museums, which is very weird. I should have, but
yeah,
I didn't.
You're a history person. Yeah.
Yeah. But the west coast of Ireland is where I really, I think, put my photography to the test, because the vistas are so vast and so varied that, and I'm not a landscape photographer in any stretch of the imagination, but somehow I managed to get in the feeling of the shale cliffs and the rocks and the ruggedness of the whole west. I mean, the Wild Atlantic Way is called that for a reason, and I had no clue whatsoever. And but God, it's so gorgeous there. You can't walk 10 feet and not take a picture. It's ridiculous. I mean, if I had been on my own on that side of the island, it would have taken me weeks just to get to where I went, As far
I have that problem, but like now they're talking about fairies, right? Don't you want to start photographing where you think the fairies may be and hope what
It's so funny that you say that, because one of the places that we went was called the Irish Seed Savers. And it's a place where they stockpile seeds, heirloom seeds for the future. And it's a phenomenal place. They oh my God, I can't even begin to describe it, but they have a tree, and I forget what it's called, but they say if you cut the branch, you'll have really bad luck because it's a fairy tree. And when I was a kid, my favorite TV show was on Disney, of course, and it was Darby O'Gill and the Little People. And I was convinced that there's leprechauns. And honest to God, I still believe it.
Okay, so I'm not weird about fairies.
Yeah, no, not weird at all. I think it's cool. I would love to meet a fairy. you know.
I think I saw one. Well, there's apparently, I interviewed a lady years ago. I mean, I think about 15, 16 years ago on the show, and she wrote a book about fairies, and she went around the world looking for fairies because she believed in fairies, and she saw them. She's from South Carolina. I wish I could remember who she was. I have to Google it. And I read her book, and I swear to God, I saw fairies when I was reading the book, and I'm like, you know, Nancy's
Yeah.
telling me, like, did you have wine while what were you doing while you were reading this? I'm like, no, man, this is like magical. But she went to Ireland, and this was the whole other thing of Ireland that I learned about. And then she told me she went to Mexico, and there's little Mexican fairies that will pinch your butt. So like, be careful if you go to the bathroom. I'm like, what are you talking about? So anyway, so this panel discussion veered off into fairies but Ed and Jen, did you want to look for fairies when you were there? Come on.
Absolutely. We actually took a really cool walk. It's called the Rogie Cliff Walk, and there's the fairy bridges there, and you can cast wishes, and it's just a beautiful place.
And really the fairy culture, whether you see fairies or not, you know, they still have roadways that go around fairy trees, hawthorn trees growing out.
Hawthorn trees, that's the name of it.
Growing out by themselves in a field, and they divert major roadways around these trees. There are fairy forts. You know, there are more fairy forts in Ireland than there are castles. And so there are all these, you know, it's still prevalent and part of the culture. And it's really fascinating that, you know, Ireland was never part of the Roman Empire. It never was part of Pax Romana. And even the Irish, you know, St. Patrick's Catholicism was different than, you know, Rome Catholicism. And the Roman Catholic really didn't take root until the potato famine, when, you know, the Catholic Church did their remarkable job of, you know, aid and support during the famine. That's really what changed culturally. But you know, the Irish, you know, St. Patrick Catholicism is heavily intertwined with, you know, Celtic religions, and the, you know, and all. It's a very much a hybridized version. So, as you leave the cities, as you go beyond the Pell in the literal sense, you know, you start to enter a place where fairies are still very prevalent in culture. It's in the beliefs, and it's just, you can see the difference in the way people, you know, think and react versus a lot of mainland Europe.
Oh, that's neat. So MaryRose, come on, are you going to go look for fairies?
Oh, absolutely. We're focusing our trip on the West Coast, but we are going to be doing some day trips into the Burren, and definitely been looking for fairies there. And the festival we're actually attending in Kinvara happens to coincide with May Day, which is a big traditional holiday as well, has a lot of spiritual connection to it. And then we're ending our trip, like I said, in Howth, but before we get there, we're going to stop off in Newgrange, which, if you're into the ancestral part or archaeology, that had to do with the pagan Ireland as well. So, and just like Kathleen, I'm of Irish descent, so we're stopping off in one little tiny village called Adair, Limerick. There's a huge castle there, Adair Castle, and that's where my mother's family originates from. So I'll be doing a little ancestral history as well. But we're going up from Galway. We're going to go out to the Aran Islands, and then we're going to go up to Westport and Donegal. And so that's our whole itinerary. Oh, I should mention, in Donegal, we're stopping and being lighthouse keepers for 2 nights.
No way, you're going to do it. Oh,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
St. John's Lighthouse in Donegal, and it's way out there on a cliff.
I want to do that. Weather. And there were women who were lighthouse keepers too in history, which is so fascinating to me. So, okay, wait, Jen, what's going on? Because is your heritage in Ireland too?
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe we might be distantly related, because my mom's maiden name is Adair, and our heritage is from there.
Oh, really? Well, my mother's maiden name was Lynch, but they're from Adair Village.
Oh, that's a good last name. Oh,
we might be related, Jen.
You never know.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
You can look it up. You guys should do like have any of you done your, going and you do your DNA before you go and you travel? Have you done that, Jen?
We have. So funny story, actually. We got one of the 23andMe for our wedding 10 years ago, and we still haven't done it yet.
Oh Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Do it.
Yeah, you need to do it. So Kathleen, did you do it?
I did. And my heritage, of course, is 51% Irish. And the other is German, which is my dad. But yeah, that was pretty fascinating to find out that I actually, am not as American as I thought I was.
But this is what I think is an interesting topic to talk about with you, all of you being travel writers and world travelers, is this heritage tourism, but it's family history, it's roots travel. I'm seeing an upswing of this I know we do a ton of genealogy shows, and it's really interesting. People going to their place of heritage because there's a feeling when you step into a place where your ancestors were.
Yes.
Linda
Yes.
Stewart Nielsen was on our show last year talking about a travel writer from IFWTWA, talking about her trip through Scandinavia and how people were opening churches for them when they realized, oh, they're here. They came all the way to this country to discover their heritage and connect with it. And then you never know, you might be really, meeting relatives, or, to go to a gravestone, find a gravestone, or the baptismal records, or even a piece of handwriting that's connected. Oh yeah, go.
That's one of the things I did for my mother's side of the family in Adair. I happen to have both my mother's and father's side from Ireland. So
oh wow.
I also did the ancestry.com, and I don't know, it's something like 77% Irish, but which was no surprise. But you can look up, you can go to the small village itself, but also now with the internet, you can contact the parish in the village and find those baptismal records. A lot of times it's baptismal records versus birth records, because birth records weren't necessarily kept in the 1800s, or
it was done at home. Yeah, sometimes they're, it's on the farm amongst the chickens.
Yeah, and they're more than willing to help you. And I know for me, the parish in Adair has been really, really tremendous in finding those records. And
wow.
I will be looking very much forward to meeting them all when I get there.
Are you going to post as you go on your trip, post on social media?
Definitely. And I already have assignments lined up, including an itinerary one. So they'll all be out eventually.
So tell everybody how to follow you on social media so we can follow your journey. Because if you see a fairy and you don't post it, I'm coming up to Anacortes and getting you, girl.
I might get in trouble with the fairy if I post them.
I know. You don't look right in their eyes.
You don't want to be in badly with the fairy.
They will pinch your butt.
So it's pretty easy.
That's right.
It's pretty easy to find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's just under my name, MaryRose Denton. And then the website, MaryRoseDentonWriter.com.
Okay, MaryRose
Denton.
I'm
on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
If you want to reach out there.
Okay, so Kathleen, have you got stories that people can connect with on this, or did you do it mostly photography?
I do have a few stories. I did some videos and some stories, and they're on my Indie Spirit Live travel journal. Awesome. They're listed by country, so that's state and country, wherever I go. Anyway, it's in alphabetical order.
Yeah, and what's the best way for people to follow you on social media?
Either Indie Spirit Live on Instagram and Facebook, or they can go to my photography website, and Indie Spirit is on there as well, and vice versa. Okay. My photography is on indiespirit.live. But yeah, it's all there.
You need to go back and get some fairies.
Oh, girl, I'm going to go back and this time, because the second time I went, when I did the Wild Atlantic Way, it was 10 days and I spent a week on the east side. So what I want to do is take a road trip all the way around and then crisscross, which will take, I don't know, months.
She's never coming home. She's never going back to Temecula. All right. Never going back. So Ed and Jen, you've got great stories on your website. How can people follow you and your adventures on social media? Is it all under Coleman Concierge? Is there an Instagram? I gotta follow all of you. I will.
Yep, mostly. Coleman Concierge on Instagram is Coleman_concierge.
Okay.
And we also have a secondary account, Concierge Corner, that's kind of more lifestyle, food, accommodations. But you will see all of our adventures that we had in Ireland on our highlight reel at Coleman_concierge. Facebook,
Okay.
we're Coleman Concierge, and then Pinterest and Twitter, we're Coleman Concierge without the E because we had too many characters. So
Oh yeah, that was a little fairy stole it. So this is great. So, but before we go, in closing, being part of IFWTWA, the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, in October, they're coming up with their next conference, and that's going to be at sea, since you've all been at sea with everything you're talking about. Just mentioned that with Princess Cruises. I think that's going to be so cool to have a cruising conference. So you're moving, there's going to be exceptional food, all that good stuff. So I want to remind everyone about that. So you can go to IFWTWA.org for that information. Even non-members of the association can join this conference. But in regards to IFWTWA, Jen and Ed, how long have you been members, and what led you to join?
I would say probably since 2020, if I remember right, maybe 2019. And actually it was recommendation from a friend. So High Travel Tales, Michael had recommended IFWTWA and said what a great organization y'all were. And we were like, well, we don't do a ton of food and wine. It's mostly outdoor adventure. And he said, there's room for everyone. And we do food and wine. So it was an awesome recommendation, and we really enjoyed our time so far.
Awesome. Did you get to network with other writers, or have you got it? I know they have media trips and things like that too.
Absolutely. I actually was super honored to have been chosen to take the Jordan press trip. So
awesome.
So that was just amazing. The group was wonderful. I really enjoyed getting to know each person that was there on the trip, and we saw and did some amazing things, and definitely ate some amazing things as well.
Did you see any fairies of Petra? No. There's going to be
just many Bedouin Jack Sparrows out there.
Oh yeah, and cats. Weren't there a lot of cats in Petra?
Oh my gosh, yes. I have so many pictures of cats that I took around Jordan. It's ridiculous. I'm such a crazy cat person. I can't help myself. But one of these days, I just need to put together an article for all the cats I've met and loved on my travels.
I know how that is. I know we have an online map of all the animals we take care of as we go travel the country, and it's kind of crazy, but they're cool. So MaryRose, for you joining IFWTWA, how long have you been a member?
I was just thinking about that. I think since about 2018.
Okay,
2019. Yeah. And it's been an amazing community. It's where I've met most of the other travel writers that I know. In fact, I was just on that press trip in Bend and met another travel writer from the IFWTWA community.
Awesome.
In meeting her in person for the first time, it felt like we were old friends from that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's awesome. And Kathleen, you've been in there for a while now, huh?
2018, I think. 2018 or 2019. Yeah. So it's been a good gig.
Yeah, I think they do a lot, and I really appreciated them during the pandemic that IFWTWA did all these web courses, webinars to really not everybody stop, and the world should never stop just because of a pandemic. There's still stories to be told, so that's a big deal too. So, all right, so obviously, MaryRose, you're going to Ireland. Is that the next destination?
That is the next destination, but in that question that you posed to us earlier, after that, the most exciting, my most looking forward to destination is we're going to do a sailing trip for a week where we will be lighthouse keepers at Stewart Island, which is the most northwestern island in the San Juans.
Oh my gosh, another lighthousing.
Another lighthouse story. To be
very cool.
Yeah,
that is so cool. That is so. They have little kitchen gardens and everything too. I mean, you have to. I mean, there's that one that that's in the Bering Sea that you would be able to like to go live there, but you'd be like so solitary for, I don't know, it sounds like a good gig for a writer. Just leave me alone in my lighthouse. It's going to be cold though. That's not cool, but you'll see whales. Like, that's cool. Go outside and say hi to them every day. So Jen and Ed, where's next for you?
So before we go here, let's give a travel tip to MaryRose. If you're hiking in the burn, look up Tony Kirby. He did our guided burn walk and he was amazing.
Okay.
And he was all about the fairies too. So just, if you can have an afternoon with him, he was fabulous. But the next trip for us is going to be Bulgaria for skiing.
No way, dude. So you're going, dude, he's going from like surfing to Bulgaria for skiing. I didn't think that either. See, but that's the beauty of this about travel. It's for everyone to get out there and experience something different and go to those places and see those. I think that's the important thing, is to go do the things that you don't really know that they're there. You know what I mean? Those hidden gems are crucial. Hidden fairies and gems.
Jen has been a professional skier for 20 years. And
oh, wow.
So ski pro patrol, adult lessons, steeps and really gnarly stuff that mere mortals can't do. And about 15 years ago, she had to quit skiing because her knees were bad. And we had our first return to skiing trip last week to Deer Valley. And she was in tears the whole time. It was so cute. It's what made travel worthwhile, just making her wife cry like that.
Oh, that's cool. What valley where did you go?
We went to Park City and went and skied Deer Valley.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it was amazing. It was just so, I felt like I had a bit of my soul back and it was a beautiful thing. So we're really excited to go check out Bulgaria, and who knows, we might end up getting a little place on a ski mountain in Bulgaria in the future.
Uh-oh, look at this. This is cool. It's a little colder than Huntsville. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but at that point though, he won't be being a rocket scientist anymore, and he'll just be free bird. So we can just live in just different destinations and just really embed ourselves.
We can tell you're from Huntsville. You said free bird. I did bring that up. Kathleen, what's next?
In May, Morocco, and in November, Turkey.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are leading amazing, amazing lives. It's been great to have you on the show. But I do have one real quick thing. One tip for a travel writer getting started, or a photographer, just one little tip for them getting started, because I think a lot of people are starting. So any tips for that, Kathleen?
For a photographer just getting started with travel writing, I would have to say, make sure you get people in your shots, because when I first started, I submitted an article and the editor came back to me with, your images are beautiful, but where are the people? And I'm like, people? Never even occurred to me. So because I don't, I avoid people. So so now I know better and I do that, but still, it was an eye-opener. So get people in your shots.
I get a lot of butts, so I don't have to bug them. Just get a lot of butts. They're going in front of me. That's okay. Get the butts. Jen and Ed, a tip for a travel writer getting started?
I would say be open to learning, take classes, go to conferences.
Join a professional organization.
Good one, Ed. Good one. MaryRose, a tip for travel writers getting started?
I would say start where you are. So start locally and write with your heart. So people getting started may not be in a place in their life. I know I wasn't when I started to travel extensively, and then a world pandemic happened. So sometimes finding those little, as you said, hidden gems in your own backyard, in your own state.
Find the fairy. in the
Find
hood.
the ferry. It's a
In
perfect.
your local hood. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go through everyone again. Kathleen's website is indiespirit.live. Okay, we know the Coleman concierge.com, and then MaryRoseDentonWriter.com. Again, we do these panel discussions with travel writers every third Friday here on Big Blend Radio. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. And for the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, go to IFWTWA.org. Thank you all so much for joining us, and safe and happy travels. Here's to new adventures.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
you.